Welcome back to CFB Nation. I am your host, Nino Brown. You know what it is. It's Devy. I got my man at the bottom of the screen, Mr. D now, aka Mr. Get It Done. How we doing, my guy?
Hey man, it's another day in paradise. We're getting closer to college football, so not much to complain about.
I think I put up a post today on BC football. It's 80 days to BC football, so less than 3 months. We're getting there. Just keeps knocking them down and knocking them down. So
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
the itch is there. Everybody's starting, get the it's. I guess it's
The casuals are starting to come back now.
Yeah, it's signing season again, right? Announcement season for all these guys. So everything's kind of popping off again, committing. But we're going to be talking about a guy who committed a while back to Clemson. His name is Bryant Wesco. And I believe this gentleman could be an instant impact player. Before we get down that road, we're going to talk a little bit about him and his time in high school, what we saw on film, what we think he can do for Clemson. So 6'2", 170 pounds, a little thin, right? But he's the number 13 wide receiver in the 2024 class. 5-star, right? I'm going to mess this up. Midlothian High School in Texas, right? He's the sixth. This speaks volumes. We all know California, Texas, Florida, right? Georgia comes in right behind them. Those four are the juggernauts. He was the sixth best player in Texas in the 2024 class. That just speaks volumes. The kid's an absolute freak athlete. He was, played in the Under Armour All-American game. He played in the Polynesian Bowl. There's some pedigree there. His father went to La Tech. He was, track and field, did the triple jump. His sister was a soccer player at OU, so the athletic ability is there. He was a dual sport, right? He did football and track and field. Long jump. I'm going to spit these numbers out. You're going to have to translate to me if this is good or bad. I have no clue. Long jump, 22.77, and then triple jump, 46.9. What are those numbers in high? Are those good numbers? I don't really know.
Those are pretty elite numbers for high school.
Yeah. Okay, all right. That's why I figured that. And when you see his dad's got a triple jump guy, I figured those were good numbers. But I wasn't sure. I knew if anybody had asked, you were the guy. So talk to me a little bit about the high school days.
Yeah, so I want to circle back. You said he's sixth best in Texas, and looking at the football recruits to come out of Texas for his class, just some of the names that are on the list. Obviously you got DJ, you got Micah Hudson, right, Taylor Tatum, and then Kobe Black, and then it was him. There's guys below him that are you're shocked that are below him. Not to sell him any short, but geez, sixth in Texas, that's crazy.
I hear a lot of things about the frame, but as you can see in the intro, and we'll talk a little bit more when we talk about what popped off the screen. Size don't really matter for him. The dude just plays bigger than his actual size. So, and it was relevant in high school. So why don't you break those numbers down? Because he had some gaudy numbers at his junior season.
Yeah, so at Midlothian, his junior season, he had 56 receptions, 1,072 yards, 12 touchdowns. In that year, he had 7 100-plus yard games. His senior year kind of took a dip. Wasn't sure if there was an injury or anything. But he finished with 36 receptions, 619 yards, but he did have 13 touchdowns. So that stayed the same, actually improved. And on his career, he had 109 yards, 109 receptions, 1,900 yards, and 29 touchdowns.
Yeah, so as a body of work, the dude was top. I think maybe come his senior year, he might have just been like, all right, I'm going to try not to get hurt here. I know I'm a guy. I can still score him when I want to score and put up 13 of them. You know what I'm saying? So I think that might have put a little factor into it. Maybe there could have been an injury, but putting up 13, if there was an injury, man, you had to have a couple games of 3, possibly 4. So he's an instant playmaker. And we're going to get right into that right now. This dude has elite ball tracking skills. It's been noticeable in all spring. This jumping off the screen, you get a little glimpses here and there, but in the spring game, just contortionist acts in the end zone, making that catch, following the ball. He has it. It was on display. He's an all-around wide receiver. You can kind of put him anywhere. Run after the catchability. Yak monster. This guy doesn't just get it and go down. You think, 170, he's kind of small for 6'2". Boom, he gets it. Let's go. You want to bang? We're going to bang. We're going to keep it going. He can set up a DB and kill him at the line of scrimmage. He's got fluidity in his routes and in his hips. It's funny because you might underestimate him at that size and be like, and then he just hits you with a quick whoop, whoop. He got that one-step hezzy. That's like the hot new thing these guys have been learning. He got it down pat, that hezzy walk, and then give him that quick stutter, that A-step off the line. He has that, and he can get that separation. So what did you see that jumped off the screen to you,
Yeah, so my initial thought was right away, this kid's going to be a vertical threat. Cade throw the bomb to him and hit him. Another thing I noticed is how well he separates, whether it's at the top of the route or if it's the sudden jab step, come back to the ball, separating. Another thing I noticed is his concept of spacing. He finds the window so easily in the routes, therefore setting up his quarterbacks to make the easy throw. And one thing that, we showed it in the tape too, his use of angles. Like you said, that hezzy for the cut, the stutter steps for the breaks, all that, which I thought was pretty impressive for being an 18-year-old kid.
Yeah, it seems like, he wouldn't say he's advanced, but he's in that upper echelon class. There's a couple of wide receivers obviously going to get more recognition than him, coming out. But he might be that guy that kind of didn't get all the buzz like everybody else.
He's like the top tier 2, if you want to tier him.
Yeah, he's the top of the next, and he's like kind of knocking at the door to be in that tier. They did a 29 offers from all the big name schools. I'll run a few names down: Clemson, USC, Texas, BC tried. I knew that wasn't happening, but Purdue, Oregon, Texas State, Colorado, Tennessee, LSU, and then there was another 15 more on top of that. But he's going. He committed to Clemson, and he put a little display in the spring game. As I was doing this, and I'm a big fan of Agent Zero and Antonio Williams, I'm like, he's gonna have some opportunity. This could be kind of a sneaky crowded wide receiver room. I'm gonna let you break it down, but I was like, maybe there won't be as many targets. But then we'll talk about it afterwards. There might be some targets.
So yeah, like you said, it might be a sneaky crowded wide receiver room, but at the same time, the wide receiver room, I don't think has lived up to the hype.
Okay.
Because you got guys like Antonio Williams, who's played 19 games, has 78 career receptions, only 828 yards, 6 touchdowns. Then you got Tyler Brown, who's played 13 games, 52 receptions, 531 yards, but only 4 touchdowns. And then you got Adam Randall, the most senior of the group, 25 games, only 32 receptions for 378 yards, and Bubkiss for touchdowns. So, like you said, it may be crowded, but it's not proven.
Right. And we're not going to – I don't want to take away from him, but Tyler Brown's numbers were – he was a freshman last year. So, that was in one season. So, that's the 4 touchdowns and the yards he put up in his freshman year. I like that. Now, is he going to take that next step? Now that Antonio Williams is healthy, quote unquote, we don't really know. Is he going to be back to being the guy? Because in that 7-game stretch that he had, when he was healthy, he was cooking, right? And we were like, all right, here's the guy. They found the wide receiver 1 we've been looking for I don't know how many years at Clemson, right? Since it's Higgins? He's the last one?
Probably, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and then Wesco comes out, and in the spring game, he's giving you glimpses of those big plays like Higgins used to do for Clemson. So it's like, can he eat in that room? Can he work in there? And I'm like, there's 3 guys there. But then like I said to you in the green room, Shipley's gone. And that's at least 50 targets right there, right? And about 300 yards. He was able to score a couple touchdowns. Bo Collins is gone. He moved on to Notre Dame. That's another 50-plus targets at 500 yards. And I think he had maybe 3-4 touchdowns for them as well. So there's room for this guy to grow. I think the problem will be, I think in this Garrett Riley offense, there's plenty of room for him.
I know how you feel about that.
But I think the problem is, will Dabo allow another true freshman in the room to start eating? Will he allow Garrett Riley to expand to, have a 4 wide receiver set here where they can all cook together? Or they're going to go typical Clemson offense, where you get the set up in a running back set. He's the main factor of it. And then the quarterback is kind of like secondary. It seems as it's been recently in Clemson. You know what I'm saying? So it'd be interesting. I think he has the tools. I think there could be some opportunity. Can he seize the moment? I think the kid has all the potential to, which I think that's why I believe, with his skill set where he's at now, and the door's ajar. And you know how we say, oh, you got to give these guys, these Devy guys, these Devy Dollar guys, a little bit. Kick that door open and you let him get in there. And I think there's a chance he could sneak in there. And maybe he's the guy that performs early instead of Cam Coleman or, Jeremiah Smith or Josiah Trader. Who knows? You don't really know. Right now, it's like flipping coins. Those guys seem to be guys that are locked in right now. Wesco could automatic, just slide in there, big boom. I'm the guy. Stop feeding me and stop performing. We'll have to see. I also want to know what in fall in the weight room, if he puts on some size.
What his numbers come out to be.
He gets to 180. Mid 180s, we got some talking to do. And now we're talking about a guy that can you see it on the screen. He doesn't mind the contested catches at 170. He don't mind going up there and battling. He got the ups to do it. I mean, this guy can hop like a bunny. So put a little weight on him. You want to bet? Now you want to bet he can get physical. You ain't gonna be hand checking this dude down the line. He's gonna be able to move you around. So it'll be interesting. We're gonna hit this point in the show. We're gonna do player comps here. It's funny because like I didn't write mine down at first, and then when I put it down, one similar to what you had. So I'll go first this time. Ceiling floor. I know this might be a short gap here. I just feel like elements from both of these guys' games. I think if he checks all the boxes, I think he can fit somewhere in the mesh of a Christian Kirk style player with a Stephon Diggs when he's happy. Maybe not in a prima donna mode. I don't want to call him prima donna, just happy. We'll just say happy. When Stephon Diggs is happy, I think that you can pull pieces from that game and pull pieces from a fully healthy, locked in Christian Kirk's game. And you might get a little bit of Brian Wesco. That's what I see. I know it's early. We got at least 3 years to see what happens and if he does make it to the next level. But what are your thoughts and what are your guys?
Like I told you, I love the Christian Kirk comparison. It was almost one that I put down myself. I can see the Stephon Diggs too. The size of the body, the way they run the routes is pretty similar if you watch some of his younger stuff. For mine, I put Rashee Rice and a bigger JSN. The bigger JSN kind of is the Christian Kirk role. Just the way he cuts, the quick separation that he can get. And then for Rashee Rice, I put him because not a lot of people realize that SMU, he played inside and outside, which I could see Clemson using Wesco here. Was a vertical threat. And he had that sneaky separation at the top of the routes, which we actually started to see this year in Kansas City. So those were my comps.
Yeah, I mean, I like the inside out role, especially if he puts on some size. If he puts on, a couple pounds, then he definitely can work on the inside. Because at 170, my fear is that he might get shoulder checked by a linebacker, and next thing you know, he's not going in the same direction that his initial route was to go, or even maybe a bigger safety. But I don't think a bigger safety is going to be able to stay with them with the way he can, his hip fluid, and he can dip that hip and make that. I don't know if, yes, the top-notch ones will, but is he going to be drawing the top-notch coverage, guys? I don't know he will. I mean, he's not early.
Not to start this year. Yeah.
Yeah, so he starts cooking, starts getting loose, you know what I mean? Gets a tin man out of him and starts just cooking these guys. There's a chance we could see, a pop early from Wesco, and I could see that role, the JSN eating up in the middle. He may not be as much of a technician as JSN was.
Oh, yeah.
But I think I can see, like you said, pull pieces from the game, put them together. You got your guy. So I love it. Like I said, there's a good chance. Again, we're going to explain it. Devy means development. So there's a good chance that Wesco could check all these boxes and develop into an NFL caliber player. We'll have to wait and see. Like I said, we got at least 3 seasons, 3 years of college football before this gentleman has the opportunity to move on. But I'm Nino Brown. That's my guy, Dino. This is Devy Dollins on CFB Nation. We out.